back to my channel. My name is Jimmy and today is Friday, November 1st. I am coming to you from Bushwick in Brooklyn, New York. If this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast where I usually talk about my adventures in the fiber arts, usually knitting, very rarely crochet, and sometimes spinning. Today I'm going to have a very choppy episode for you guys. I haven't recorded in a long time, and actually I'm recording from the living room in my apartment. I live in a city apartment, very small with very thin walls. So you actually might hear noises from my neighbors talking or whatever. Sorry. But anyway, this is going to be a very choppy episode because it's been a while since I last recorded, and I have finished a couple of projects that I'm going to show you, but those projects I no longer have with me, so I recorded a little bit of footage before I send them out or gave them away. So I'm going to be including that footage as we get to those parts. So it's going to be a different me because it was recorded weeks ago. So today I'm going to show you a couple of finished objects. I'm going to show you a couple of projects that I am currently working on, and I am going to talk about a couple of new designs that my friends have done that I want to share with you. And at the end I'm going to talk about a little bit about Rhinebeck and a little bit about the New York City yarn crawl that happened a few weeks ago, and also the Stephen West mystery knit along, and my class that I took with him. So I hope this is not too long. The first finished object that I'm going to show you today is the Gaudi sweater that I had been working on the previous episode. I finished it, I blocked it, sent it away. So I'm going to insert a little video here where I showed you what it looked like before I sent it away. I'll see you in a second. Hello, today is Monday, August 12th, and I am doing a little quick recording because I finished my Gaudi sweater that I am knitting for, or that I was knitting for my friend Connie from Chileknitz. And I wanted to get in a quick recording because I am going to pack it and ship it so that it can get to her as soon as possible, and she can take it to Barcelona in November with her. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like, and this is the Gaudi sweater. Oops. It's been blocked. And it's finished. That's the front, that's the back. It looks the same on both sides. This is a design by Julie Knits in Paris, and it was a collaboration with Connie. They got together and they put some ideas together, and Connie dyed this this colorway, which is called Gaudi, for the Barcelona Knits Festival last year, 2018, and Julie Knits in Paris designed the sweater for that occasion. So I was knitting this for Connie so that she can have it ready for the second Barcelona Knits Festival, which is happening in the middle of November in Barcelona, Spain. And she wanted to take it with her for that. So that's why I knitted it, and that's why I want to send it out as soon as possible. So since it's finished, I am going to pack it and ship it. But let's see. Before I do, I wanted to share this with you guys. I used I did some changes. I knitted, this is a crop sweater, but I made it longer because Connie likes them a little longer. So I made it longer than the pattern states, maybe like a couple of inches longer, maybe like 3 inches longer than the pattern says. And I used Chileknitz yarns. This is her Gaudi colorway, like I said, in her I don't know the name of the base, but this is the Stellina base. So it has nylon, merino, and a little bit of Stellina. I'll put the name of the color of the base down here. And the purpley blue color is called Who, and that is in her Nube base, which is 100% merino fingering. And I used a US 2.5 needle for the color work, and then I went down to a US 2 for the body and a US 1 for the ribbing on the cuffs and hem. And the color, actually, I also did a US 1 for the color. And I used 2.5 skeins of the main color. Almost 3. I had this left, so I guess it's like almost 3. This is probably like 10-15 grams left of the third one. And I used about half of the Gaudi for the color work sections. So yeah, this is done, and it's being shipped to Santiago in Chile ASAP. Bye. Welcome back, and this is all the yarn that I have left. I used 3 skeins of the Who colorway, and I used a little bit over half of the skein of the Gaudi colorway for the color work. Then the next project that I finished was this shawl that I was working on the previous episode as well. The Isabell Kraemer, A Girl's Best Friend, and I was knitting that for my friend Debbie, who is the dyer and owner of Murky Depths. It's she's a local indie dyer. She lives around the corner from Knitted City, and that's where I met her. And I was working on that for her as a sample for her trunk shows and her store or whatever. So here is the clip for that, so you can see what it looked like when I finished it. And I'll see you in a second. Hello from the past. Today is September 4th, and I wanted to record a little bit because I finished my shawl. Well, it's not my shawl. I finished the shawl, the Girl's Best Friend Shawl by Isabell Kraemer, and the shawl is not for me. It is for my friend Debbie, who is the dyer and owner of Murky Depths, and she's going to be hosting a trunk show at Nida City this weekend. So I wanted to give the shawl to her today to make sure that she has it for her trunk show. So I thought I would record a little bit to show you the finished product before I give it away, and then I have nothing to show for. So here it is. This is the finished shawl. It's all done. It's blocked. I've added the pom-poms. So it's blocked. All ends are woven in. It's completely finished. Obviously, I'm using Debbie's Murky Depths yarns. This is a three color textured shawl, triangular shawl. So I used for the top section, for the first color, I used, all of these colors, by the way, are in fingering weight in her deep sock base, which is a 2-ply, 80% merino, 20% nylon. But anyway, which is very soft and very nice to work with. And I used, for the first section, I used Knight in Tarnished Armor. For the lace section, the teardrops that Isabell Kraemer calls, I used Little Miss Sunshine, and for the border, I used Salted Earth is the name of it. And for the pom-poms, I used Salted Earth, and I added a couple of strands of the Little Miss Sunshine, the mustard, just to tie it in a little bit. But yeah, so like I said, this is a very textured triangular shawl. It's a tap-down shawl, so you start from the center out, and it has sections of, I'm not sure that you can see the texture, but anyway, it has sections of like stockinette, and then like a broken seed, and some garter stripes, and then you switch to the lace, and then you go one more stripe of stockinette with broken seed and some bubbles, right? And then you do like a ribbing at the bottom. And I used, I followed the instructions to the T. So I used a US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter US 4 needle throughout, and I blocked it to measurement, which is about 6 feet on top, in about 27 inches long, I guess, from the top down. So yeah, I did not use, I didn't use all of the yarn. I used almost all of the mustard, which was the lace section, and I used about, I haven't weighed them, used about, I would say like 70% of each of the other two, maybe a little more. This is about 30 grams left of each, maybe. But anyway, so this is what I have left. And yeah, it's finished. And hopefully Debbie likes it. I'm sure she will. So, back to the present. Welcome back. Then that shawl has also really been given away, and it's been to Indian Tangled at Rhinebeck, and I think right now it might be at Vognit and Live Columbus, Ohio, I think. So, don't have it with me anymore. The next project that I finished also was the 2x2 hat that I was working on last time. That I didn't record anything because it was just like such a small thing that I just took a picture and I'll post it right here. That I worked with some Malabrigo Malabrigo worsted, I think it was, and I did that hat for the hat drive that Louis Boria from Brooklyn Boy Knits for his Hat Not Hate anti-bullying campaign that he was promoting with Shira from Lion Brand. And so that the deadline for that was the last of September, I think, September 30th or October 1st, or something like that. So that I finished the hat and I gave it to them. So no longer with me. And then I have another couple of objects that I wanted to share with you. This I think I shared last time. This is a shawl that my friend MJ, who lives in Seville, designed for me when she came to visit in July, in the summer. She came to New York, and we spent a lot of time together because we're very good friends. And I designed a shawl for her, and she designed this shawl for me. And I wanted to share this with you because some people contacted her and said that they liked the design and encouraged her to write up the pattern and release it. And this week, I believe Monday or Tuesday of this week, the pattern was released. It's been test knitted by a few people, and the shawl is called My Brooklyn Friend Shawl. So yeah, so it's out. It's on Ravelry. It is both written in English and Spanish, and it is a very detailed pattern. It's a mixture of cables and stockinette. It's a triangular shawl, as you can see. And she has written instructions almost line by line and charted instructions also. So it is very easy to follow. And if you want to give it a try, it's on Ravelry. It's a paid for pattern. I think it's like $4 or something like that. So it's not that expensive. So yeah, and I wanted to share that with you. I did not knit this, obviously. I am going to I'm going to knit it myself. I'm going to make another one that I'm going to knit, but I am going to spin the yarn myself. So when we get to the Rhinebeck purchases and stuff, I will show you what I'm thinking, and we'll get back to this shawl then. The next finished object that I have is something that I did knit. I finished. Another friend of mine, her name is Belén. She lives in Oxford, England, but she's from Spain. I think I've explained. I think I've mentioned her before. She has a YouTube channel called Tejer en Inglés, which is basically a tutorial channel mostly, where she teaches Spanish-speaking knitters the standard or the mostly standard abbreviations of for knitting terms in English, and explains to them what they mean in her videos in Spanish, so that Spanish-speaking knitters can feel confident and have access to all the patterns that everybody talks about on Ravelry or Instagram that are published maybe only in English, or don't have a Spanish translation, so they can understand the terms and without really needing to speak English, they can go and use the pattern and make themselves whatever design they want. Anyway, so she has recently designed a shawl. There's going to be a yarn festival in Barcelona in Spain in the middle of this month, and she designed this shawl using Chileknitz yarns, because my friend Connie from Chileknitz is going to be vending there, and so they collaborated together, and I asked her if I could test knit the pattern. I'm really a terrible test knitter, so I am kind of surprised that she agreed to let me do it, because I don't obey the pattern all the time. I always end up making changes, and I did this time too. But anyway, so the shawl is called Xana shawl. Xana is, my friend is originally from Spain. She's from Asturias, which is a like a county or a region in northern Spain, and they have their own dialect and their own folklore traditions. And Xana is like a fairy, or like a nymph, like a wood nymph. It's the name of a wood nymph, and so she usually, when she does her designs, she uses words that are native to the region where she's from. But anyway, this is the shawl. It's a asymmetric triangular shawl. It's like a boomerang. It's a boomerang style shawl, and this is, you start in one corner and increase and on one side and decrease on the other to make this like boomerang style shawl. So yeah, the pattern is being released in about 2 weeks. November 12th is the date, and it will also be available in English and Spanish. And like I said, because her Belén's mission is to make patterns accessible to Spanish-speaking knitters, and especially beginner knitters. This is very easy to follow. The pattern is very well explained, and so it's easy to. It's a beginner level, maybe adventurous beginner, maybe, because there is a mosaic section. There is striping of colors, so there's like yarn management, but she explains all that on the pattern, so you feel confident doing it. So anyway, this is what it looks like on. I used a US 4 needle, or 3.5 millimeter, which is what the pattern calls for. The finished measurements for this, when I blocked it, it was about 7 feet long, the wingspan from point to point. Maybe a little less, maybe a little less than 7 feet, maybe 6'11" ish, and it was a little bit less than 3 feet deep. And so it was a pretty substantial shawl. It calls for three yarns or 3 skeins of yarn. But like I said, I am a terrible test knitter, so I used 4 skeins of yarn. For the main color, I used this Chileknitz in her cuddly sock base, which is nylon and merino nylon. I think it's 80/20 merino nylon in the jeans colorway, and that's this color. That's the main color. For contrasting color number 1, I used this Life in the Long Grass fingering weight, also merino nylon. The colorway, I believe, is called Moorland, and this yarn was a gift from my friend MJ, who designed this shawl. My friend MJ, when she came to New York, we went to several yarn shops, and in one of them at Brooklyn General, she bought this skein of yarn and gave it to me as a gift. So I wanted to use that on the shawl that my other friend had designed. So that is the contrasting color number 1, which is what makes the stripes in the design. And for the third color, or contrasting color number 2, I used this Neighborhood Fiber Co., and I held it together with some mohair. This colorway, or this yarn, I got at Argyle Yarn Shop, which is also here in Brooklyn, and Neighborhood Fiber Co. had a trunk show in June, I believe, and this is some of the colorways that are exclusive to Argyle Yarn Shop, which is, I think it's called Windsor Terrace is the colorway, Windsor Terrace is the name of the neighborhood where Argyle Yarn Shop is here in Brooklyn. So I held those two together for the mosaic section on the shawl, and also for when I inverted the colors and it became the main color towards the end of the shawl. So those are, this is also fingering, by the way. This is fingering 100% merino, I believe. And this is mohair and silk. And also, when we went to Argyle with my friend MJ, I bought her a skein of this for her to take home. So she has the same colorway as I do, and so we have the same colorway, and I wanted to use that also in my shawl. And yeah, so that's the Xana shawl. As you can see, it has a repeating pattern, but then towards the end you change the sequence of colors, right? So you kind of repeat the same pattern from here to here, and then you repeat it again from here to here. And then for the third iteration, you invert the colors. And as you can see, I still had plenty of yarn left. Right. So like I said, this shawl, the design is not available yet, but it will be available in a couple of weeks, by November 12th. And I think that is all the finished objects that I have for today. So now let's move on to works in progress. The first work in progress I'm going to share with you lives here. This was going to be my Rhinebeck sweater, but I didn't finish it, so I just wore my Isabell that I had knitted last year for Rhinebeck last year. Whatever, I repeated, and it wasn't the end of the world. But this was supposed to be my Rhinebeck sweater, and this is the same sweater as what I knitted for Connie, but with different colors. The colorwork section is still Gaudi, but the main color of the yarn is gondola. So this is what I have so far. I'm using, for this project, I'm using US 2.5, which is 3mm needles, because I thought maybe I would go a little faster than I did with the previous one. Didn't really change that much. And I'm also, as you can see, it's a top-down sweater. I think I had explained all this already with the other, but I think the neck is a little too big, and maybe I have this sneaking suspicion that this sweater is going to end up being too large for me. Or maybe I am just that large and I don't want to admit it, but I think the problem is that, I don't know if it's a problem. the issue is that I think the neck is going to be too big for me, and we'll see how I like that. And I think that that's part of. I could try it on, if I could, get bigger needles or connect to and try it on, but I don't want to because I don't want to undo it. So we'll see. But anyway, so it didn't happen for Rhinebeck because I was getting a little tired of all this stockinette in the round where you knit and you don't make any progress. So I decided, screw it, I'm going to not stress about it. I'm going to just wear the sweater that I had already made for last year, and there is always Vogue Knitting Live, there's always another Rhinebeck, so or not. I can just finish it when winter is coming, and I can finish it and wear it during the winter. So that's one work in progress. The other work in progress that I have that is almost done is the Starflake, the mystery knit along by Stephen West. If you don't want to see spoilers, maybe skip a little bit. But all the clues as of last Friday, today's Friday, so a week ago, all the clues are out. People have been posting their finished projects, so I'm not really. It's not a spoiler anymore because I'm sure that you've seen the finished object somewhere or other. Even Stephen West has published some pictures with the shawl completely finished. So if you don't want to see it, skip ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to show the ones that want to see it. I have not finished. I am working on the last clue, and I am maybe 4 or 5 rows away from finishing the last clue and then binding off. So I'm very close to finishing. So next time I see you, I will probably have this finished. This has been living in this bag. And let's see. This is. I'm not even sure why I'm showing this to you guys because it's huge. And it's on small needles, and I'm not going to be able to stretch it out enough to show you with any significant. But here it is. This is the Starflake. So I am knitting this with US 5s. Which I think it's 3.75 millimeters, as the design calls for. I went to the cast-on party here in Brooklyn. Argyle Yarn Shop and Brooklyn General hosted a party with Stephen West to cast on the shawl together with a group of people, which was kind of cool. I was invited by Esther from she's the owner of Argyle Yarn Shop, and that was very nice. I was very grateful to have been invited, and I loved every minute of it. It was fun. I don't think I took any. I've been a terrible vlogger, so I don't have. I don't believe I took any like significant amount of footage during the party, because I wanted to enjoy it and not have to worry about. I know it's terrible. I'm terrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But anyway, so it was also the launch for his third book on Wesnitz are the Besnitz, or Wesnitz Besnitz series, and I believe this is the last of the series of that. So I went to the party. We started the Shawl together with a group of New Yorkers and Stephen West, and there was a little interview because it was the launch for his book. So he talked about some of the designs that are in his book. I'll talk about his book a little later, and show it to you. But so I'm using Chileknitz in her Charisma colorway, which is this peachy corally yarn, and her Gondola, which is this black colorway, and this is on her 100% merino, which is called Nube, her base. At the party, we started with this section. You start from yeah, I guess it's okay. I mean, there are videos where he talks about how to do it. So you start with this section and you make this little parallelogram, and then you join it to the next one, until you have sort of like a star. And then you pick up stitches along the border, and you make these ridges. And that was clue 1. Then clue 2 was the brioche section. And for those who don't know how to do brioche, I believe there is a garter section that you could replace the brioche with, and it looks very nice. My friend Duke, hey Duke, I don't know if you watch this. My friend Duke, who also knitted, he actually just sent me a message to tell me that he finished, so he beat me. But it's not a competition. Or is it? Anyway, he did the garter stitch section instead of the brioche, and then the next clue is the short rows and lace section. So these short rows here, there are on each side of the wings. And then you have some lace section for clue 3. And then clue 4 is what I'm working on, which is the border. Right. This is the border. I am, like I said, I am about... So I'm about five rows away from finishing the border, and then I'm going to bind off with a I-cord to bind off. So that's a close-up of some short rows. This is like glue 3. So some short rows here, and then some lace, some lace section. Sections of yarn overs, and then knit togethers and SSKs, and etc. etc. And so yeah, I've been having a good time knitting this. I alternated between this, so I would because I was test knitting for my friend, I would finish my glue for the week and then pick up this and knit this, and this got done a lot quicker than this. This was a lot faster to knit. So the next time that you see me, you will probably see this finished, hopefully blocked, and ends woven in, because there's a few ends floating around there. One of my favorite things about the Westnitz MCALs is that they're released during the month of October, and Rhinebeck is during the month of October. So I get to take my mystery shawl and I get to knit a little bit on the grounds, and I kind of I like that. I get to find a quiet spot to watch people and just enjoy the moment, and think about the things that happen, and knit a few stitches into my shawl as a memento of what happened that day. And so I was working on glue 3. I was working on glue 3 of my mystery shawl, so that is something that I will cherish, and hopefully it'll be done by the next time you see me. If not, I will be very ashamed. That is all I have for works in progress at the moment, I think. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is a little bit of acquisitions, because there was the New York City Yarn Crawl, there was Rhinebeck, there was the Stephen West Cast On Party. So I did get a few things. The New York City Yarn Crawl happens usually in September, at the beginning of the fall. And this year, how should I put this? I don't need more yarn. Well, that's a lie. I always need more yarn. I shouldn't be buying more yarn. I guess that's more like it. I always need more yarn. I shouldn't be buying more because I have plenty to play with. But I still wanted to support the stores that, especially the stores that provide us with a knitting space for the guy knit nights that we have. So Knitted City and String Thing Studio in Brooklyn, and so I wanted to at least buy something, right, and support them, and show them a little love for the love that they've shown us throughout the year, week by week. They're always there, and they always provide us with space for us to get together and have a good time. So anyway, so those are the stores that I went to, and I also went to a couple of others later. So I got the official yarn crawl bag. As you can see, I'm missing a whole bunch of pins that I didn't get because I didn't go to all of them. So I have a pin for Knitted City. I have a pin for Strengthening Studio. I have a pin for Brooklyn General, and I have a pin for Argyle Yarn Shop, because those are the places I went to. And then I have a pin for the yarn crawl. And I got just a couple of things. I got some yarns from Chelsea, what is she called? Chelsea Yarns, I think is the name. They have, I'm sure you know them. They have a store, which I believe it's called Chelsea Yarns, in Red Hook, New Jersey. And they have a podcast. Christina, I think is the owner's name. And so they had a trunk show at Knitted City, and I got a couple of the yarn. This is cashmere, merino, and nylon. Merino, cashmere, and nylon. 80-10-10 fingering, and the name of the colorway is called Stilettos and Jeans. And also Debbie from Murky Depths. I got some. She had a trunk show in Knitted City, and I got some of her yarns. This is Ashen and her Deep Suck, which is merino nylon fingering. And those are the yarns that I got during the yarn crawl. And also I went to a signing with Stephen West at Brooklyn General, and I got my third book. I have the other two already, the Wesnitz Best Knits, and I got it photographed. So my collection is complete. That's the Chrysler shawl, which I think I'm going to knit sometime soonish. I also want to knit the Chevron Shenanigans, I believe it's called. And yeah. So I got that. Steven's always very nice, very friendly. Poor guy already knows me by name because, you know, stalker, basically. Every time he's in New York, doing an event or something, I try to go and see him. And so because of that, I've actually never taken a class. I had actually never taken a class with Steven, and I went to take a class with him at the Argyle Yarn Shop when he was in New York promoting his book, and a couple of days after the party. And the workshop was on shawl design, and it was like the idea of taking a traditional shape in this class, and it was the triangular shawl shape and adding details to either change the shape or make it different or add something. But he was very he was very nice with me, and he said that he knew that I had done a lot of triangular shawls, and he asked me if I wanted to work on a semicircular shawl instead of triangular shawl. So I did, and this is it was a very interesting class. I learned a lot, and actually I was very grateful that he was thoughtful, and that all my my constant stalking paid off, because he knew that I had done a lot of shawls that were triangular. So I think I already had a grasp on that, but I didn't really have a grasp on. I've done semicircular shawls, but I didn't really have a grasp on how they worked. So I only knew how to follow instructions to make them, but now I have a better idea on how they function, and this is the beginning of the shawl that I was working on, and it was kind of fun. I don't know that I'm going to continue working this, or if I'm going to scrap it and do something different, but I liked what I learned, so you never know. But it was a very enjoyable class. I had a great time. So I guess this is like a tiny baby shawlette. I don't know if it's gonna grow up to be something different, or if I'm just going to take what I learned and apply it to a new idea, or what. But we'll see. After that, I got some yarn from my friend Louis. He did a collaboration with Joe from What the Flock Yarns, and so I got some of their new colorway, which is Lewis's. It's available on Lewis's website, and this is called Coney Island, and it's awesome. This is the fingering, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, it's a 2-ply, and it's a collaboration that they did together. I think it was unveiled at either there was some kind of festival, some yarn festival in Pennsylvania a few weeks ago, and that's when it was unveiled, and I loved it, so I got a couple of skeins from him. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, because whatever, because they're nice and I wanted them. And then there was Rhinebeck a couple of weeks ago now. I didn't buy yarn actually at Rhinebeck, but I bought spinning things, supplies, I suppose, because you know that's a completely different hobby. So so yeah, anyway, I can't, there's no justification, there's no logic. I wanted some of this stuff and I got it. So I bought a little souvenir, a sock project bag from this year's design for the New York State Sheep and Wool Festival, and I also got a pen. So I got those souvenirs, I got some fiber to spin. I think I've mentioned before that I go to Knitted City on Sundays to spin with a group of spinners, and I kept running into Ruth, who's one of the spinners that goes there on Sundays, and we bought this Romney. We bought the same Romney together, and we'll spin it and see. I've never spun with Romney, so this is from Into the World. And we'll see what the results are. Right? But I like the colors. So we both got one bag each, the same colorway. And I also got some, I'm sorry for the crinkling. I got some silk hankies that I will dye in the future and spin them, so explore dyeing a little bit. And I got a little bump of Rambouillet and Angora. Rambouillet is a type of sheep, and Angora is a type of rabbit. And this is a blend, a 80-20, 80% Rambouillet, 20% Angora top. And so this is from Main Top Mill. And I haven't spun those fibers either, so I wanted to experiment. And also, remember my shawl that my friend designed for me? I wanted to spin some yarn to make the shawl with, and I found this Cormo. This is 3 ounces of Cormo that I want to spin into a yarn that I can knit this shawl with. Now the idea is I bought 3 of these, so I have 9 ounces. And as you can see, there are 3 colors. These are natural colors from the Cormo sheep. And so what I was thinking was that I would make a 3-ply yarn, because I have 3 of these. And I would start with one color, like I would start with the chocolate brown, and then spin it into these kind of fawn color, and then finish with this white ecru kind of color, and then do the same thing, make one single out of the 3 ounces, then do the same thing with the other 2 rovings that I have, and then ply them together. And I'm not perfect, obviously. I don't know why I said that. But anyway, the idea is that I am what I meant to say was that I am human, meaning that not every single is going to be exact, right? So even though they are 1 ounce each, there's probably going to be some overlap when I am plying them together. There's going to be some overlap of color, right? So that I am hoping, I could explain myself better, I suppose. What I'm aiming for is that by doing this 3 colors in one single, that I'm hoping that I can get something like an ombre effect, right? Where one color is going to blend into the other, not have such abrupt color changes from the chocolate to the fawn to the white, right? But rather when I'm applying them together, because like I said, I am human, they're not going to be exactly the same, so they're not going to end at exactly the same point. So hopefully that will create some sort of like a blending effect that when I knit it, when I knit this, the color is going to blend in the shawl from one point to the end. That's the idea. Now I have to find the time to do that, and I am probably going to have to spin this on my wheel because it would be faster, I think. And I bought a spindle, a Bosworth spindle that I'm going to show you in a second when I talk to you about my spinning. But before that, I wanted to talk about this. Like I said, I did not buy yarn at Rhinebeck because you already know I have so much. I shouldn't leave my house because I buy stuff. But this was a gift from Lucy. Lucy is someone who lives in Spokane in Washington, and she came to Rhinebeck, and she's someone that has been following me on my Instagram and here on this channel since I started. So, and she's always been very very positive, very friendly, very encouraging every time she comments or either here or on Instagram. And so she told me almost a year ago, I guess, she told me since last year that she was going to come to Rhinebeck this year and that she wanted to meet me, and so we could say hello to each other, and I was very excited about that. And she did. She came, and we had a good chat, and we had a good time together. And at the end, she pulled this out of her bag, and she said that she had brought this as a gift for me. And I was very touched. I'm still very touched because you know, I never expect people to give me anything. It's never my expectation. I'm very happy to meet people. I'm very happy to say hello to people. And I'm very shy, so sometimes I might come across as awkward maybe, but I am happy to do it, and I'm happy that people talk to me and share ideas about their knitting or whatever. But so this was very touching because I was not expecting that, and it's never been, there will be an expectation, but I am very grateful that she thought of me, and that she brought this all the way from Washington. She says that this is the company's called Yarn Fairy and Pixies, and she said that this is a local dyer, a local for her dyer, and that she wanted to bring something that was from her neck of the woods, and that was very sweet. That was very, very thoughtful, and I'm still very touched. And I don't know what I'm going to make with this yet. This is a sock quality, I believe. Yeah, it's merino nylon, so I could make socks, but I'm not a sock knitter that much. I don't love to, but anyway, the colorway is called Phoenix, which is an very appropriate name. I love the colors. It was so like this moment here it was so Rhinebeck, because the leaves were so yellow and golden, and so yeah, so I really loved that this section will remind me of a moment in Rhinebeck while I was talking to Lucy. So hi Lucy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Next, I'm going to show you a little bit of my spinning. I've not done much spinning. I think last time I talked to you about doing a fractal spinning. So I finished one. This is one single. I'm going to do 3 plies. So this is the first ply, the first single. And this year, this is Bosworth spindle. This year I bought another Bosworth spindle, and I'm already using it. So I love my Bosworth spindle. They are Jonathan Bosworth is the maker. I guess he's a carpenter. He makes these, and he's very famous because they're extremely well made, good quality materials, and also extremely well balanced. Right, so I bought another one, and I'm using it to do my second ply for my fractal spin, and then I need to do my 3rd ply. I usually only spin on Sundays when I go to the spinning group for like 1 hour a week, and that's why I started going to that group, because I wanted to make sure that I was giving myself a window at least once a week, a window where I could practice my spinning, because I love my spinning, and I don't want my I'm still I think of myself as a new spinner, or a beginner-ish level spinner, and I don't want to lose the skills that I've been gaining. So I go once a week and I spin, and that way it's very slow. That I don't make a lot of progress, because I like to spin very thin. As you can see, that's, sorry for the crinkling, but that's my preferred thickness. So I like to spin very thin. That means that it takes me longer to spin projects, but it's okay. I like the process. And yeah, so that is my last of my purchases from Rhinebeck. And finally, I am finally going to let you go, because you are probably up to here. It's been a while since I last recorded, and I'm sorry. I always say that I'm going to try to record more often, and then it doesn't happen because I don't, or whatever, a million and one reasons. But here I am. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is one of my future projects. Joji Locatelli has a yearly knit-along in her group on Ravelry, and I signed up for 2 projects. Just because that's crazy. But anyway, dumb reasons. Last year, I didn't find out in time. Last year I knitted a shawl for my mom. Something curves, I don't remember, but last year I knitted a shawl for my mom, and I wanted to sign up for the knit along, but I found out one day too late that you had to sign up ahead of time and tell them what your project was going to be. Anyway, didn't do it. This year, I knew with time, I knew when it was going to happen, and I knew that I wanted to make an Elton cardigan for my mom, but I didn't have the yarns yet. I had asked for my friend Debbie from Murky to dye some stuff for me, but I didn't have the yarns with me, and I wasn't sure. So anyway, I ended up signing up for 2 projects, for the Elton cardigan, for the knit along, and for another shawl, because I thought if I don't get the yarns for the cardigan for whatever reason, I have plenty of yarns that I could pull together to make the shawl design for the knit along. So I signed up for both. I'm not going to do both because I always overcommit myself. But I got the yarns for the Elton. Right? So I wanted to show you the yarns. This is a fingering weight yarn, like I said, from Murky Depths. This is Knight and Tarnished Armor. This is one of the colors that I used for the shawl that I made for her. And this is a Little Miss Sunshine. This is one of the colors that I used also in her shawl, but she didn't dye them in mohair, and the design, the Elton, is fingering weight and mohair striped together throughout. And I asked her if she could dye some of this color in mohair, which she didn't do before, and she did. And that was part of like the reasoning that I thought, what if it doesn't happen? And I signed up for 2 projects. But anyway, Elton cardigan. This is what I'm going to knit for my mama. And I should be starting that as soon as I finish the shawl. I should get started with this project. So hopefully next time you see me, I should be either in the middle of knitting this or done. We'll see. That is my future project. Hopefully it'll be ready for Christmas. It's a Christmas gift for my mom. And that is all for today. Thanks for sticking around this long. If you have, I'm sorry it's such a long episode. But hopefully next time it will not be that long. But thanks for visiting. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram, I am JonBoyNY. My account is public, so you just follow. Or if you would like to friend me on Ravelry, it's the same username, JonBoyNY. I'm not very active on Ravelry. I'm very lazy about updating my projects, and so I am much more active on Instagram. And I post pictures of my projects on there, and you could see the progress and more. And I could just... Anyway. So, yes. Instagram is the place to be for me, apparently. So, again, Thanks for stopping by, and happy knitting. Until next time.